I believe, our 37, sorry, that was quick. I went to 36 to 37 pretty quick. 37 chapbooks. And it's pretty amazing when you think about it. It really is. There's really, for a small organization, we do a lot that's, that will be around for a long time. And the chapbooks are pretty special because as Hoboken changes, it's a nice way to remember, shall we say, Hoboken culture. And we can't stop things that change, but we can record and document and honor the people while they're still here. And so the person who really started this project over 20 years ago is my good pal, Holly Metz. And I'm going to ask her to come up to the podium, which she has agreed to do, which is special in itself. You want me to put it in there?
Yes,
sure. Okay. Sure.
Stay here?
Okay. I'll stay here.
All right. So thank you for coming. I think I first heard the story that made me want to do chapbooks from Billy Geib. He told me a story that's in here, but it's got lots of other stories around it, about shimmying up the poles in the backyard of 8th and Park to fix the clotheslines for the moms in the neighborhood. And I was like, man, we got to get that on paper. We got to get it down. That's like, because everybody concerned to page 14. And I just really wanted to get some of Billy's stories. And every time I'd see him on the street, we'd stop and he'd talk and he'd tell me another great story. But he was busy and we were busy and we didn't do it. And finally, I think 3 years ago, Billy and I were talking on the street, talking. And he agreed that he would do it. We did a fist bump, so we knew, we had to do it. And then this year in May, we interviewed him twice. And it was amazing to me. I mean, it just, things I never heard of, people I felt like I got to know them through his stories. And so we got that down. Another thing happened after we did the interview was that Billy sent text messages to Bob about these different animals he'd been involved in, because people who know Billy know that he loves animals and he rescues them and he takes care of them. So those text messages, our amazing designer, Anne-Marie Menke, has included them as sort of a separate running commentary in the chapbook. So it's like double dose of Billy, but still not all the Billy that you could possibly have or want. So I hope you enjoy it. We feel really proud and very happy. Sometimes things take a while to happen. So this took 20 years, but like a fine wine or a fine Weiss beer, it takes a little time. Thank you.
So the way this is going to work, we're going to ask different people to come up and speak on Billy's behalf, just from the heart. I don't think anyone's reading. It's just, we know Billy and let's just share these words. But before I do that, I really want to thank one of the sponsors of the book, and that's the Hoboken Public Library. And today we have James Cox, who is the new archivist with the library, and so happy he could join us.
Hi, as Bob said, I'm James, the Special Collections Manager of the library. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because this is Billy's day, but the library wants to support everything that the museum does in documenting the lives of Hoboken residents. And if you need any help with research, come and find me at the library if you want to research your family or your property or something else. But again, this is Billy's day. I just met him 5 minutes ago. He's very nice to me. So again,
okay, you heard it. If you want to research your family, go to the library. And James, you're there a full week, and they can go onto the library's website and get your email. And he's not hiding. He's new. It's the best time to meet someone before he gets overwhelmed. We also have a collection here at the museum. Rand Hoppe, who is here recording the event, is our collections manager. And everyone assumes that we can research their home and their family history. We generally don't have the time to do that. And what we do have is a collection which is accessible on the website, hobokenmuseum.org, and then look in the collections area. There's a searchable database. And if we have something, you know, it's there. But for us to do anything deep, we're going to send you to James. Okay. Thank you, James. So a few people have said that they'd be willing to say a few words. Seems to be a lot of shy cousins in the room, but we'll get through it, so it's fine. But we're going to start with one of Billy's neighbors. Billy probably sees Sergio Moroni every day, and these guys are kind of joined at the hip, I'll say, and have a lot of common interests. And Sergio is also in the chapbook, or I should say his kitty is in the chapbook. And, you know, here's all these big, tough guys, Billy, Sergio. But when you start talking about their cats, they sort of melt into butter. And unfortunately, recently, Sergio lost his cat. But Sergio agreed to speak. He's one of the Willow Avenue boys. And Sergio, come on up to the microphone.
Thank you. There's so many things I need to say about Billy. Billy, you're like a brother to me. You know that. Yeah. And the heart that you have is special, Billy. You know that. It's a special heart. You're a giving guy. You go out of your way for anybody, any animal that needs help. You'll be there for them. Doesn't matter if it's snowing, doesn't matter if it's 2 degrees out. You'll be there for them. And I thank you for that, Billy. And I thank you for being your friend, man. You're a special guy, and I love you. Thank you.
And that is a requirement. You have to cry when you come to the podium. Okay. You know, as we go on, I may not have gotten all your names, but if someone who, as we get to the end of the program, and if someone does want to speak, there'll be time for that, because we're being short and direct and sweet here today. So another name on the list here, and a good friend of Billy's, and I forget how they are connected, but we'll soon find out. We have Kevin Barati. Kevin, come on up. Did I say it wrong? Bertardi. Sorry about that. It's the mask. No. Kevin, thanks.
Billy. I've known Billy a long time. Growing up in this town, it was a rough town, and there was a lot of recreational stuff happening when we were kids that may be a little beyond the pale for this, forum. But the thing is, things got rough and tumble. People would be violent or, getting out of hand. And Billy would defend anyone. There could be a guy 10 feet tall, and if they step to a woman or step to somebody who's getting bullied, Billy was in there between them in a heartbeat, no matter what, at complete cost to his safety, complete cost to him personally. And it wasn't something that he had to think about. It wasn't this cognitive process. His instinct was, I'm protecting anybody who's here. And that has gone on throughout his life. I mean, he's taking care of animals, taking care of people who there's no benefit in it for him to do this, and people who are at risk and so forth. He's a great guy. Folks have always known he's had a heart of gold. And again, it was difficult and dangerous growing up here at times. And there are all different types of circumstances where he'd step into the fray. And if somebody's, about to fall off the edge of some kind of a situation, he would be there and have your back. And that is a very, very big deal when you're talking about literally life and death situations. And I can't say enough about him. He's heart of gold, always there for you. I have one anecdote. I'm coming back from summer school, freaking algebra, Jesus. And I realize it's Billy's birthday. And so, you know, in Hoboken, anywhere at that time, I'm around Billy's age, easy enough in high school to go and buy a case of beer. So I grab a case of beer and grab a cupcake, and I grab Billy and I meet him, and we go down to the piers, and the piers are basically, you know, bombed out looking by this point in history. And it's just, you know, burnt out rubble of piers. And we're sitting out on the end of the pier with a match and a cupcake celebrating Billy's birthday. Bless you, man. You're a great guy. And I notice your completely gigantic stature, brother. Bless you.
So when Kevin said, when he mentioned algebra, I thought he was going to say Billy helped him do the algebra. I was going to, wow, I didn't know. Anyway. So other people who've said they sign on and say a few words. I have Eric Volpe. Let's welcome Eric Volpe to the podium.
Oh, what I sign up for here. Yeah, I wasn't planning to come up, so obviously I'm not prepared, but I went to the post office to mail a letter several days ago, and I saw your beautiful poster. This beautiful poster, as a matter of fact, yes. And I thought, wow, what's this? I gotta attend this. So it's great to see Billy. I haven't seen you for too long, I'm sorry to say, but I'm not gonna say this is the way it happened, but this is the way I remember it. Was that I had a couple of friends, actually friends of friends, Pam and Kevin, and they were moving, I believe, from 12th and Willow down to 8th and Willow around 1987. And I went to help them move, and they actually hired a couple of guys to do the bulk of the moving. And these guys had a van that said Mobilator on it. And it was Billy and Dan. And that's how I met Billy, who were also friends of Kevin and Pam. So that's how I first met Billy and became friends with Billy over the course of time. And actually, he has, I noticed just flipping through the book, he has his Mobilator card. Billy recruited me to work with Mobilator, which in the parlance that we used then, I was we were Mobilators, you know, that was the way we talked about, you know, we had the slogan, don't move, mobilate. So I worked with Mobilator, moving people around Hoboken with Billy the summer of 1991. I think it was the best job I ever had. The pay was low, the work was really hard, but working with Billy and a couple of those other, with a great bunch of guys, including Billy, it was just such a pleasure to work with them. I mean, so that made up for the low pay and the hard work. I mean, it was great, and it was a pleasure. And the other previous speakers said, and I'm sure the subsequent ones will too, where I totally echo the sentiments. Billy's a great guy, always had one's back. And thank you, Billy. So, okay.
So Billy has Billy, including Billy himself and two other brothers, are the three brothers of the family. And we're going to ask Greg to come up and say a few words, and then we'll be talking with Eugene. Okay, here he is, Greg.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. I'm Billy's the second oldest brother. There's my older brother Eugene, me, then Billy, and two sisters. And what can I say about Billy? Billy, yeah. There's not really anything bad to say, you know what I mean? Except, growing.
Just use a little more here.
Oh, just that, growing up in we grew up like a regular family, like brothers, sometimes fighting with each other and stuff, but most of the time always being together. And you know, I just think of a lot of the times, like me and Billy would always drag me into like all his jobs, like paint jobs, moving jobs, and like Sergio and Kevin said that, and Eric said that Billy has like a big heart, So a lot of times we would do these jobs and we would get paid like very little or even no money, And Billy would say, oh, oh, this person, they're having a hard time. They lost their job. They don't have no money. So we might not get paid and stuff, But, that's the kind of heart he had, He always wanted to help people, even with the animals, like, he would call me and say, Craig, I got this cat. I'm going to bring him and Sergio wind up driving all the way up to Hackettstown and something. Or he'll pick up a bird if he found at his job, And then I remember he told me when he found his bird, he brought it to New York, and they called him up to let him know that they nursed the bird back to health. And they called him and said, hey, Billy, we just want to let you know that the bird you brought, we let him out free. He's good now with a mate. Yeah, Central Park. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, that you could say about Billy growing up, as my brother and stuff, and a lot of good things and bad things, but mostly all good. Because, back then, Hoboken was kind of rough to grow up in, and but we made it through, and we turned out all right, So we turned out to, we did good in life, and, our families brought us up good, our cousins, and, it was a lot of fun growing up in Hoboken back then. But, I just tell Billy, that I love him, and, I just, continue to, strive, be healthy and strong, and do the right thing. And, God bless you and Janice. Thank you, Janice, for always being there with Billy. I know sometimes it's rough, but Janice, we really appreciate you too, You've done a lot, helping Billy with his life, That's about it.
Okay.
Now we're gonna.
So not exactly sure how we're going to do this, but we want to hear from Eugene, who's sitting right here. Do you want to come up, Eugene? Okay, Eugene is deaf, but he is signing and has an app where it will translate what he's saying. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, well, he can hear what we're saying.
Okay.
And he'll respond to.
Okay. So I misunderstood how this was going to work. So if you can read his lips?
Yeah, he's saying.
Okay. So.
He's saying that.
Looks like Eugene's got a hangover.
We're recording this. Okay.
He was at the Alps last night.
Oh. But what do you want to say about Billy? He just basically he just said that he loves you, he wants, that he loves you, and that you're like, a great brother, and that you were always there for him. You always, as we were growing up, we was always together, the three of us. And he said, being the older brother, he was always worried about him because he would like, if he would get into trouble or anything, because he said, yeah, Billy was like, always running around the streets and stuff, and he would always be worried about him and go out looking for him. And then he remembers doing a lot of side jobs with Billy, because we used to do a lot of side job, painting and like construction and moving jobs, and he was always involved in that with us. Yeah. And he wishes that Billy would wishes good health, and that he'll get some wealth, and that he loves him, and just hopes they have a good life. Yeah.
Thank you. And I should say the three brothers still all live within 6 or 7 blocks of each other, right? 2 blocks. Okay, cool.
Eugene's 6 blocks.
6 blocks. Got it. So they're all still in Hoboken, and with all the change, and we're never leaving for more than 3 days. Right. Excellent. I guess I'll say, I think I have a Billy story. So kind of like Holly was saying, this took a while to do, and Billy only lives like maybe 100 feet from where Holly and I live. And so sometimes when someone's that close, you see them every day, you kind of put it off. It's sort of like, visiting the Empire State Building. Why would you do it? It's so close. And so Holly, very often, we'd be sitting down for dinner, and I could see she was like a little, perturbed. And she goes, we got to do Billy. We got to interview Billy. So finally we did. So we're so glad we did. But I was thinking of recent things. When I would drive around with Billy, it's been a while since we've been in the car together, but generally he would give a tour about different animals he rescued and what corner he found them on and their story. And I'm kind of driving, I'm sort of listening, but then I realized by the time we're at like 12th Street, I think I've learned about 6 different animals that he has saved. And just like they were saying, the whole story, like now this bird has a mate, it really goes pretty far. And so I'm thinking that's pretty cool. And the other running story is jobs that Billy worked on. So this could be a painting job, it could be a moving job, or it could be a renovation job. And it'd be like, yeah, we threw the bathtub out of the 5th floor of that apartment. And it's a little disorienting when you're driving around looking for flying bathtubs. But I feel like I always learn a lot from Billy when I drive around with him or walk around with him. And then the more recent, these days it's hard to remember recent, you get a little confused. But I guess it was a year or so ago, I think I was with Rand originally, and we were walking on the Union Dry Dock property. Was that with you, Rand? It was, yeah. And we saw out on the pier this beautiful pelt, sort of that light tan and white, and the wind was blowing the pelt. It turned out when we got closer, it was a dead fox. I have never seen a fox anywhere, but to find this fox deceased on our Hoboken pier was kind of pretty intense. And so it had only recently died. There was no real deterioration of the body, and we got pretty close. And when I came home, it just bothered me, like, what are you supposed to do? And you could call animal control, but this property really wasn't in the public, venue, shall we say. Just getting on the property was probably going to be not something you could call about again. So who do I call? I call Billy. I go, Billy, I got some shovels. Basically, I think I waited a couple days. I kept dreaming about this fox, and I always knew Billy's connection with animals. And I just said, who can I, it was pretty cold, and we went and buried the fox. And I remember Billy, commenting, being very sort of spiritual about it. And then I remember him saying, we probably should bury this fox behind these trees, because if someone looking out of their condo from Maxwell Place sees us digging this grave, they may call the police. And lo and behold, an ambulance or some sort of emergency vehicle went by, and Billy's freaking out a little. I go, don't worry, it's only Hoboken Ambulance Corps. Don't worry about it. So we did get through it. And I think Billy, whenever he drives around Hoboken, for me, when I drive around, I'm thinking about the buildings and the people I know, but I know Billy's thinking about the animals that he rescued and the people he has helped. And I think that's pretty special. So thank you, Billy. Okay, staying on point. So another person who said they would come up to the podium is Carrie Shannon. Carrie, come on up. Okay. Okay, thank you. But he is here. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay, you're right. You're right. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, an applause. So a person that we're so glad is in the room, who has moved from Hoboken. She's now down in Virginia. She went south. She's from the south, so I guess you could say she's back home. But I got a feeling she misses her Hoboken, and she happens to be up for, shall we say, to see old friends at Thanksgiving. And one group of her friends is the Hoboken Historical Museum. So let's welcome Melissa Abernathy to the podium.
Hi, thanks for letting me say a few words. I don't know Billy as long as most of you do, but he is one of the first people I met when I started working with the museum, because Bob has a way of finding people to come volunteer, and then he handed the job to me to find people to come volunteer for whenever the museum has a booth at a festival. And I could always count on St. Anne's seeing Billy at the booth. I didn't have his number, I didn't have his email, but I always knew Bob would get Billy there, and that once Billy there, the booth was covered. And as a newcomer to Hoboken years ago, most of the people I knew were fellow newcomers to Hoboken. But when I met Billy, I really felt like I met the heart of Hoboken. Like, you really do represent for me what Hoboken is. Maybe I've got a charmed view of Hoboken mostly because of Billy, but I do remember hearing stories about your dogs, and you were always very kind when I brought my dog to the booth. But he really showed what everybody has said about him when I just asked him for recommendations on air conditioners. I needed to put new air conditioners in my apartment, and he gave me not just the brand I should buy, but where I should buy it. And then he insisted he come over and install it. Then it became clear that I had ordered the wrong size air conditioner, but he made it work. And that to me is Hoboken. Like, he will be there for you. He'll work out a solution and make it work no matter what it takes. So you are Hoboken to me, Billy, and I really appreciate knowing you. Thank you.
Okay, very cool. Let's see, I have Linda Kamathian. Is she here? Yeah, come on up. I may have messed up the last name. I apologize if I did. Kamathian. Linda.
Thank you. Oh, I think everybody in this room has a special place in their heart for Bill because that's the kind of person he is. We all love him. He'd give you the shirt off his back. We didn't hang out together because I'm older, which I hate to admit to, but I did. But I think probably everybody in the family at one time or another had a cat that Billy gave them. I know my mother had two. What about Bella? Where did Bella come from? From you? From Uncle Bob?
Yes. Maybe Uncle Bob.
Well, Bella's Uncle Bob's cat that I have now. Yeah. So, yeah, but he's a sweetheart and we all love him. He's gone through some rough times, but we would always be there for him. Okay. Thank you.
And I should have been crossing off names here. Let's see, are there, Mr. Guzman? Yes? Yes, let's welcome Raymond Guzman, premier sign artist in Hoboken. Can I say that, sign artist? Okay, there you go.
Hi, everybody, and I'm really happy to see Billy. It's great to be here, and when I saw the announcement on the email, I said I have to be here. I've always known Billy as a working man, and being a working person in Hoboken, running Hoboken Sign for all those years, every project we've been on, jobs, people are doing construction work, you're there. I've always known you as a contractor. You've always been there for everybody. I've seen you work with everyone. And I said, this is one of those guys who's always shows up and does what he's supposed to do and things that he doesn't even aware of that he's doing and helping all of us with what he's been doing. And I also want to say that Billy, to me, you're royalty in Hoboken. You are royalty in your family also. You've contributed so much to us. We love you very much. Keep up the good work.
Okay. So I may have missed some names and some people came in a little later. Are there some other folks in the back who'd like to say anything? Okay, no pressure, no pressure. Lock the door. Now, Billy, would you like to come up to the podium? Okay, here he is, the man himself, the heart of Hoboken, Billy Geib.
I'm glad we got names so I could thank them. Thank you guys so much for coming today. And I'm very proud and honored for this book here. I want to thank the Bob Foster, Holly Metz, the Hoboken Public Library, and the Hoboken Historical Museum. And Bob is filming me. So I got one story to break the ice. Bob and I met when I was with the Mobilator. So I had like one of the vans. It was like a nice gold van with wings and stuff, and it had the Mobilator. We hired a cartoonist from the Star Ledger to do our logo. So it was pretty cool. So Bob calls me one day, and I was living on 4th and Jefferson, and he said he needed to go save the last drop of Maxwell House coffee. So I said, okay, let's do it. He said, oh, I just need the van. And I was like, oh, I was a little disappointed, but I gave him the van, and he went and got the last drop. So we have a newsletter that goes out to everybody, and Bob writes in a newsletter, thanks to Billy Geib for helping me and the museum save the last drop of Maxwell House coffee. And I was happy because my uncle Bill Larson worked there, right? He was at the can company. Yeah, right on Hudson Street here. And we used to play in the coffee grinds because I was used to say, my uncle works here. You know, the guys would say, get out of the coffee grinds. And we used to play football in the parking lot because my cousin Billy, his like, my dad works there. So we were pretty cool. The other thing I'd like to thank everybody that spoke here today. It's coming from my heart. I do have a big heart. I love animals. I love people. I love life. And I rescue cats because they don't have a voice. So that's kind of why I got into it. Because they don't ask to be born, and you know what I mean? Other things. And my dog, Bob, took this picture on the cover. He's got my dog Weiss. I named him after my favorite beer. So on my right hand, there's an RCA dog, like a statue, and my dog went up to it like, what the hell is this? The hair on his back stood up. So then I got my dog on the side because I just had surgery on my knee, and you can see I have a bandage. But Weiss was looking at Bob and saying, what the hell is going on here? It was just so funny. I love animals because they all have their own personalities, dogs and cats. And I just love animals. And I did drag my two brothers into a lot of my side jobs. Even my cousin Mike out back there. And my boss Eugene said, where'd you get that guy? I said, that's my cousin. He said, he's a keeper. Yeah. Hard worker, Mike. And is my friend Rob here, Sanzoni? There he is. Thanks, Rob, for coming. Your mom and Aunt Mary. I'd like to mention our family, our parents, the Larsons, Aunt Mary and Uncle Bill. They kept my family going because my mom was a single parent raising 5 kids. But then my dad came back. Can I have some water? I forgot to get it. My mouth's dry. There's my girlfriend. I got this big heart from my mom and all my aunts and uncles. They were so good to us. Each and every one of them had a big heart, which that's how I got the big heart. And it costs nothing to help somebody, right? And I must say, I'm really proud of Bob and Holly as far as this museum has come. I remember when it was just Hoboken Historical Society, we didn't have a home. And Bob put us on the map, Bob and Holly. Yeah. And it's a great museum. And Bob would call me up and say, Billy, you're an electrician, right? How many lights can I put on one switch? I was like, oh, I got to look at it, because he wanted it to dim. I said, some dimmers are rated for 400 volts, 600 volts. Watts. So I changed a few dimmers here, which were wall mounted and slider. And since it's a public place, had to be public safe, right? Yeah. And we lost our favorite supplier, Kenny, from Lakin. So now I'd have to go to Paterson, New Jersey to get some of these dimmers because they're special, because of different exhibits and stuff. But I really, really appreciate everybody coming today on this cold Sunday. And the book is really cool. I love it. I love except for my feet. I don't like my feet on the second page. I was like, Bob, I changed 3 different times when he came to take the picture. I had a museum shirt on. He said, oh, can you get a different shirt? So I put another museum shirt on. He goes, oh, Billy, that's still a museum shirt. So then, because I gained some weight, they're extra large. And I was like, come on, Bob. So now I had to wear this polo shirt, which was a little tight. And I put jeans on I could barely button. And then I had socks and sneakers on, but I was like, lose the sneakers. I was like, oh, really? So I lose the sneakers, and then I go back on the stairs. I sit down. He said, you got to get rid of the socks. I said, come on, Bob. So now we're going, that's like 5 different times I changed. But talking about the clotheslines, I used to put clotheslines up like 5 stories on a pole that was barely standing up. And you can see all these clothes. This is 8th Park, right? And I grew up with a lot of the families on my block on 8th Park. They were all Yugoslavian at the time in the 80s or 70s, late 70s, and then now Croatians. So they all did laundry and hung their clothes. So a funny story, having all these clotheslines up, there was like each building separating each other was like a little bay kind of inside. So my friend Elaine fell off the roof. So all the clotheslines I put up for my friend's parents saved his life, because he hit every floor, flipping and turning, and all he did was break an ankle after falling 6 stories. They were playing karate. So as he was backing up, there was like a little, he went over backwards. And it's crazy. Him and I smoked a joint before that happened. And I heard he was saying my name in the hospital. And I was like, holy shit, he's going to rat me out. I'm just coming up with these stories as I look through the pictures. And then, then the bars. I was a regular in every bar. And, but my favorite bar was Fabian's for the Weiss beer. And I named my dog after Weiss beer. I don't know if I said that already. I'll say it again. Weiss loved his name. So I used to take him to the dog park, and some of the people were like, what's your dog's name? I would say Weiss, and they're like, oh, that's my wife's last name. I was like, oh, sorry. What do I say? but I spelt it with 2 S's and an E at the end. Yeah, Hackashore Wise. But I really have a lot of stories. I don't know how much time do I have, Bob. You know, when you watch the news, they always have we have to go to a commercial or something, right? But and then my cousins, the Larsons, they're the best. They're like the extension. Well, no, we're the extension of the Larsons, the Geibs. But a lot of the old timers in Kelly's pub would call me Murph because they knew my mom before she got married. But then I'm proud to say my 2 brothers and I, we put the Geib name on the map because of the mobilator, the paint jobs I did, a lot of demolition, and we did throw bathtubs out of 5-story building. But I had somebody in the backyard make sure nobody came out the back door to the back. But and I told them, make sure you stay in the doorway. And we would throw out double sinks, bathtubs, because they were so heavy to carry. They were cast iron, and they would stick in the mud. And you know, as we got to the lower floors, sometimes I would break it up with a sledgehammer, but most of the times we slid them down the stairs with a moving belt strap. And a lot of times I would go on the bottom because I didn't trust the guy on the top. Even though that sounds crazy, but I took all the weight and just pushed it down on a step to save it, keep it from sliding and running me over. But that was fun. I figured we didn't get paid a lot, but I figured it was a workout. So we're getting paid anyway, right, to work out instead of me paying a gym to go work out. Oh yeah. Actually, I looked up some pictures. My father's father had a moving company back. Yeah. Well, smaller guys are the better movers. I would always put the big guy on the bottom if we were carrying some, because, oh my goodness, it would be so hard. And my brother Craig and I we can move anything, literally. I moved a 2,000-pound press machine in the Newman leather. And the guy, it was Craig and I moved it with pipes. I put a pipe in front of a pipe to keep it rolling. And when we got to the elevator, there was another guy with us. He was afraid to get on the elevator. So I said, just go down to the passenger elevator. I'll take the freight elevator down myself. So I went down with it myself. I was a little nervous. We were overweight. But I figured if it got up there, it had to go in the elevator. I think her name was Edith. Do you know her, Bob?
Yeah, she's out. You're out or in?
I moved her in.
Okay.
But before I moved her in, we sanded the floors. We painted our whole space. Edith Skinner, yeah, she was a printer. And I insulated her pipes because the steam from the pipes would affect her drawings or artwork. And it turned into a huge job just by moving a printer. That's where I have one of my cards that said Billy's Professional Moving and Quality Painting. Because in the middle of the month, you're really not moving anybody. So with that card, I would get the same client I was moving, I would get to paint their condo or unit or house, whatever. I would get to do the painting and then move them because I told them that's how we should do it. not move everything in and then paint. And a lot of people listened to me back then, which I'm surprised. But there's the Sun House here, which was really cool hangout. Right, Bill? Didn't we play dice there or something? The Sun House, Columbus Park. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to go play there. Back then in the 70s, Hoboken was great. But then we ran into some gangs. They had some gangs running around. I got jumped on Thanksgiving Day. My friend Robert Salvetti, me, Jimmy O'Connor, and Timmy Houston. They pulled out knives on Thanksgiving. Unbelievable. I still got a little scar here. But there was so many against 4 of us. It was like 15 or 20. And we tried to fight, but cops came, thank God, and ended it. And then that ended the gang, I think. They were called the Hoboken Masters. You ever heard of them, Bob? No? I wonder if I mentioned it in the book. I can't remember. Yeah, that was kind of violent. I didn't want to mention that, but I'm mentioning it now. You want to end on the Coochies? Yeah. Well, the Coochie family, we lived in apartment 8, and they lived in apartment 10, right above us. Oh my goodness. We almost offered to buy them area rugs just to keep the noise down, you know, but we didn't have the money. We would have if we did. It was 7 kids. Their mom, Rose Coochie, she was a sweetheart, but the father was a longshoreman and very loud. He just yelled a lot. But they also had a monkey. I think it was a squirrel monkey. This squirrel monkey used to come down to our apartment because back then you left your door open. And in the summer, we left the kitchen door wide open and we opened the skylight to get like a cross breeze because we didn't have an air conditioner. And this monkey would jump on our kitchen table, eat whatever we had. And one time I caught him going in the old milk bottle jug. It took the cap off. Back then it was like a cardboard cap. It peeled the cap off the milk, stuck his hands down in there, and was drinking out of our milk jug, which was pretty funny. But I didn't want to disturb him because he might jump on me. So he had all rights to the milk jug. I didn't drink milk much back then either. Yeah, well, thanks for listening to me, and thanks James from the library, Bob Foster, Holly Metz, and everyone here that spoke. I love all you guys for coming, and my girlfriend Janice for sticking by me. Yeah, she's been there for me through good times and bad, and I love you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Cool. So I was worried we weren't going to have enough good words, but I forgot Billy was going to talk. So that was great. You saved us, Bill. So a great guy. You guys really said some good things. And we're so happy to do number 37. 38 is in the works. And again, thank you so much from the library to help support it. Some of support from New Jersey Historical Commission. But really, we should give a big applause to Holly, who really sees this project through. I'm just the driver. Anyway, and Holly makes everyone look pretty good in these chapbooks. But Billy, I can't believe you left the story out about the clothesline saving this person playing the Karate Kid. I can't believe that. That's the first time I ever heard that story. No, I know. But yeah, I guess there's Billy Geib Part 2. As he gets older, he'll reveal more of these life-threatening stories and flying bathtubs and things like that. So we do have a few refreshments we can share, and we're just so glad we did this one, Billy. Thank you. It means a lot. Okay, thank you for being here, everyone.